Okay, we're recording. Holy shit, dude. 1 year later.
We are technologically savvy. I'm not going to call this a certain episode. I don't know anymore where we're at. 5?
Yeah, something like that. Welcome back to
We're
Harry
recording.
and Andrew have nothing better to do.
We're recording. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been exactly, almost a year?
So I actually, no, oh God, since we recorded last?
When did we record last? August?
Did you say almost a year?
Maybe that was the first episode, but the last episode we recorded probably was in...
Not even the first episode.
No?
No, I don't think we started doing stuff until like summer.
Oh, May. Okay,
Yeah.
You're probably right.
But I think I did end up looking and going back and checking when I watched the movie that we talked about on the last one, and it had been, I think November. I think is when we did our last one. I think it was right after we got back from Montana. I think we did
the last one we recorded? Was it the Stephen King?
No, it was the. Memories are terrible. There's too many movies. So anyway, I actually counted how many movies I've seen since then.
Yeah.
And it's nasty.
50?
No.
More than that?
It was like 120.
Are you fucking kidding me? Really?
It was at least one a day.
Oh, no, okay.
And that's scary.
Yeah, that's not good.
I mean, there was a few days there, especially when I was doing the Criterion 70s horror collection. I was watching 4 movies a day.
Well, I think I've been mostly doing series or watching just shows rather than watching movies. I think it's just easier to consume that. But yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if you're...
I mean, at a certain point, so I did the same thing with anime at one point where it felt like I was just watching it to watch it and to say that I had watched it instead of really enjoying and actually consuming the product. I worry about that because it actually killed my passion for anime because I started watching the shittiest anime you'd ever watched just because I had access to it.
But I think that's a problem for anime though, because it can be very cookie cutter with a lot of them, especially shonen style anime. But I mean, I did the same thing.
I just wasn't having fun.
Sure.
I felt like I was I could watch this many episodes in this amount of time instead of being I want to watch these episodes.
Yeah.
And then not, and it's like a movie where, and I still do this, where if it's shitty, usually, unless it's super, super shitty and I don't just mean just shitty. I mean, boring.
Yeah. Or just it just makes you angry
queasy.
or annoyed. Yeah, there's
I'm
that too.
super queasy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a really hard time just stopping watching a movie as bad as it is.
It is very hard. I mean, I remember when we were watching what's the fucking Devil's Rejects sequel. I mean, I was ready to watch the rest of it, but it was pretty oh god, do we have to really sit through the rest of this?
Yeah, because you knew what it was going to be like the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But change of pace today. Instead of talking about bad movies...
We actually have...
We're going to talk about some good movies.
I haven't seen a ton of terrible movies the last while. Maybe. I mean, there's plenty of bad stuff out there, but...
No, we're going to change this up this time. We're going to talk about movies we actually enjoy. Some more... either relatively new discoveries, newer movies, or just something that we recently watched. And I would say all the movies we're going to talk about today, they are worth watching. Either they're really good or they do have some problems, but overall it is worth your time to let's sit down and enjoy this rather House of the Dead and Book of Shadows are not worth your time.
Right, where there's no redeeming qualities other than the shittiness of it.
Right.
I mean, yeah, there's a couple that we're going to talk about that kind of shat the bed towards the end, which I know that we've talked about before, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's obvious that it's very difficult for people to end stuff correctly.
3/4 of those movies are definitely you need to watch them.
And it's a shame.
It's worth it.
Yeah, so for us, it's frustrating because the 3/4 are so good and the 1/4 is so
and
bad.
I would argue some people could just say, yeah, that was
a
okay.
lot of people can.
Just like, that's fine.
And that's why I have no problem talking about it and recommending the movies
Right.
to watch, because a lot of people are able to ignore that and be like, I didn't mind it, or that's okay. And I don't think it makes the movie bad. I just think it knocks it down
Yeah.
a couple
It goes
stars.
It goes from great to good. So
yeah, it knocks it down a couple stars on mine. So what do you want to talk about first?
oh god.
Do we just go in chronological order here?
We could if you want to.
So that would be Carrie?
It would be Carrie.
Is it?
Yeah, 1976. Yeah, okay.
I already forgot the third one.
Let's see here. I have them all pulled up here.
We have Carrie, Sleep Tight.
That's 2011. Super Dark Times is 2017. Clovehitch is 2018, and then Anything for Jackson is 2020. Okay, that
Anything
works.
for Jackson would be last. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So, Carrie. This is actually the most recent one that I watched.
Yeah.
Of the 5.
I think I watched it less than a week ago. Then. Yeah, probably around the same time.
So
as
we're
you.
in the same. Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Brian De Palma, Stephen King, the first Stephen King adapted film.
Did he do another Stephen King movie?
Brian De Palma?
I thought I saw, like, I was looking at the director
I know
and seeing
he
if
did Scarface and Untouchables.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there was something about his style, and we can get into this because I did want to talk about those double focus.
He did Sisters.
Shots.
Maybe you watched that on Criterion.
I did not watch that. It's on the list, but we'll get into the certain cinematography choices. But I mean, overall, it's good.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it.
So the reason why I told you to watch this movie is because me and another buddy we were deciding to watch all of Stephen King's filmography from start to finish, and then we'll avoid. I know it's a terrible decision, but we're trying to do all the films, and then we might do the television series. And I've watched a fair amount of these, so we could skip a few. But I was half expecting Carrie to be like one of those movies. You're like, oh, I remember, like, my parents really liked it.
Too?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, okay. First time I've seen it all the way through. It was like Nightmare on Elm Street for me, like for you, where I've seen one scene and that scarred me for life.
Oh yeah, we watched Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Yeah, that was really good.
I love it. Yeah. But we're not gonna talk about that.
No.
Today.
So I remember as a kid the one scene with her mother like scarred me for life, so I never wanted to watch it. And then I decided, hey, let's give this a chance. And
at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it really holds up. Like,
what did I get? I gave it like an 8 out of 10.
I'd say overall, like, maybe the ending is not the greatest, but I don't know, man. Sissy Spacek, like, compared her performance in Badlands to this, great actress.
Well, she wasn't given anything in Badlands.
Right.
Let's be honest. I mean, the whole narration crap. Okay, we're not going to go into Badlands because that was disappointing. But she was good, and I actually really liked. Like the first opening shot, I think is great, where they're going through the shower.
Yeah.
And
it starts off, you think it's gratuitous, and then it's not.
Right, and it's funny. It's that stereotype of like, oh yeah, all the girls in the girls' bathroom are running around naked and like slapping each other with towels, and like you could tell because of the slow motion choice. Yeah. I don't think they really did that again. Beyond that was on purpose. Like it's like, yeah, this is how ridiculous it is. And the stereotype of that, but then she gets her period for the first time, and it's so well done. Because imagine if you had never been told about it, and you're so antisocial because of your mother.
Yeah, that scene is great. I mean,
how would you react?
Oh yeah, it'd be like
dying.
you'd be dying. Yeah, you're
bleeding
out of
coming
something
out of an orifice.
Oh, spoilers for Carrie if you haven't seen Carrie or don't know the book.
It's 1978 or something like that, so there's no excuse.
Yeah,
before we were born.
It's a very odd opening, but it suits the story because it's this religiously repressed girl. I guess she's 15 or 16. No, she's older because they're going to their senior prom.
Yes.
So whatever. She's at least 18 or younger.
She's late with her puberty.
Yeah,
let's say that.
And she doesn't know this because her mother is a religious fanatic. Like, I don't even know what denomination. Probably Catholic.
It was probably Catholic,
but just crazy Catholic.
To the point where she very much considered her daughter getting her period as a sin,
right?
And that she was a woman, and like that made her a sinner because she was a woman.
So Carrie is the outcast at school, and then she gets her period, Her mother is, you get kind of like this window into her life, and she gets ridiculed by all the girls in the locker room.
That's a rough scene.
Yeah,
because you go like, wow. And I've actually talked to Becky about this before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, because they represent females in this way
Mm-hmm.
in high school, and you sit there and you go like, no, man, like I was in high school, and I'm not saying it was great, and there was a lot of people that were picked on,
Mm-hmm.
but I never saw anything like that, like ever.
Well, if you were in the locker room with a bunch of dudes and somebody had a tiny dick, you'd probably like, oh, look at tiny dick Andrew, and just yell at him.
Well, so you just hide your tiny dick. You just hide it behind a towel, or you just shower with your swimsuit
But
on.
it is ridiculous in that scene, but it's not so ridiculous that it's unbelievable, right? Like,
No. Well, I would normally think that was unbelievable, but like I said, I've talked to Becky, and she's just like, no, women really are kind of like very catty, and they're like that in high school. Like it's pretty rough.
I mean,
And as a guy, what I'm saying
Well,
is, as a guy, I don't remember it being that bad.
yeah, but I was picked on, and I can imagine that.
Me
that
too,
was,
but
that was
not
pretty,
to that extent.
No, but
There would always been like a few people. First of all, like everybody joining in, everybody all the time,
Yeah.
everybody throwing things at her,
Yeah.
and it's like, damn, dude, like poor girl, you just want to like hug her,
Yeah.
which they do a great job with, because you're just
Mhm.
like, oh, you're so,
Yeah.
unexperienced. I feel so bad for you.
I'd say everything in the movie holds up except for the main antagonist. Her reasons to target
She don't
Carrie.
even have reasons.
No, and her character meets such an untimely quick end that I feel like that's the only thing that
That was weird.
is very odd. The book is completely different because Carrie doesn't see her till the very end after she's been mortally wounded by her mother, and then she sees them at a bar, and then she takes out her revenge on her. So it's a little bit different, and I would say that's the one part of the movie that definitely doesn't feel like as, I don't know, as centered or as focused as it could be. I think everything else, I think the is it Sue is the character that lets her go to the prom with her boyfriend.
I believe so. And
She's really-
Billy's the boyfriend.
Billy's
I
the
think.
boyfriend. I think that's really set up well. The whole prom scene is fucking awesome.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, and John Travolta's in the movie.
oh, that's right. Yeah, to get his dick sucked.
Weird. I didn't even recognize
I know.
the antagonist.
Yeah.
When she was in the car with him at first, I'm like,
Who is that?
I didn't know that was the. I thought this was a
Yeah.
whole different character.
And his reasons to go along with it to kill a break. Oh, so how many laws do they break? They break and enter into the mill to get the pig. They slaughter the pig. They break and enter into the high school. I mean, the fact that he does all this just because his girlfriend convinced him.
Hey man, your dick just makes you go in directions that you would never
know, man.
think.
I wouldn't
It's
do all
high
that,
school.
I
Just like
guess.
how you don't find it
Even-
believable that the women.
Even though they're all in their 30s when they're filming
Oh my
this,
god,
right?
the
It's
guy
so
that plays
blatantly
Billy.
obvious.
Holy shit! I'm just like,
That's the guy from Man from Earth.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it is. I just remember looking at him and
And
be like,
House.
the only
fucking-
person that looks like a high schooler is Sissy
Sissy
Spacek,
Spacek, yeah.
because she has a weird look to her.
Yeah.
There was something that happened, and I don't remember. I'm blanking on what it was, but there was something that happened that I go, no,
Yeah.
that's very like it wasn't that stuff at the beginning. It was something more towards the end. I can't remember. I don't have a lot of complaints about the movie, other than I would argue that from time to time some of the scenes felt not like they were dragging, but that they were meaningless.
Yeah, like the whole scene where they're all the girls. The basically is that they're punished for ganging up on
Yeah, that would be
Carrie,
one of them.
That they're exercising the field. Like that just goes on forever. And I guess the idea is
It's
you're
almost
supposed
like a
to watch
montage.
them, pay for their sin of attacking her, but it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like they're exploiting the girls just like, as they're jumping up and
And you
down.
could easily set up something a little bit more realistic for the antagonist to be upset.
I
with,
figured
with her.
she'd be more upset at the gym teacher than Carrie.
Right. She goes, which she has a whole scene with John Travolta, and she's going down on him, and she's like, I hate Carrie White. And you're like, what?
No.
Carrie White didn't do anything?
The teacher is punishing you for ganging up
Which
on
I understand.
Carrie.
That does happen, but not to that extent.
Yeah,
like
why
to where
wouldn't
somebody
she-
just like hates you and loathes
Right.
you because they didn't actually do anything to you, like directly.
Yeah, but I think that's just kind of the product of the time. There's a lot of scenes in this movie that don't feel like a horror movie but I think that's kind of it feels like they're trying to do the whole like high school drama thing, but it I don't know. It feels like it's from the 70s, but like not in a good way. Like there's just not a lot of things kind of add up. They're there to be there.
The thing they did the best is take what you thought was like a really nasty scene at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are throwing at her shit at her in the shower because she's had her period.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like basically like holy shit, all these girls are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Carrie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you just want to like hold her and tell her it's going to be okay, and they do a good job with that. And then they build it very kind of slowly over time, showing that some of these characters actually are somewhat redeemable, Sue, and you know, kind of like introducing, you know, kind of classic more 90s is it She's All That or
Oh yeah. What's the other one? The Drew Barrymore goes undercover or something, right? At the school.
where they bring they take the unpopular girl and they take her to prom.
Right, they Pretty Woman them.
Yeah, yeah. They make them look better, and they get and you're like, oh cool, man, she's finally like, and Billy starts to like that. Billy, I thought they did a great job with his character because he's, you know, kind of a dick at the beginning, and then the more time he spends with Carrie, you can actually tell that he's not just doing it because his girlfriend's telling him to do it anymore. That he actually feels.
Right,
maybe
compassion,
maybe not
attraction.
attraction. Yeah, even if it's not attraction, definitely
some kinship,
empathy,
right.
in a way. And I assume he dies. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the idea
he's
is
in there. So I mean,
the bucket didn't hit his temple, but I guess the idea is that either he got knocked out and then everyone, because in the
I got
in the
impression
book
that he got knocked out and then burned.
Probably everyone in the book, it's a little bit different. People are electrocuted, but then she sets fire to the gymnasium and seals it. Because when I first watched it as a kid, or seen the few scenes or read about it, I was confused on how people were dying from her telekinesis. But then I guess that the sprinklers and the water and everything set the fire.
Well, some of them just got electrocuted,
right? Or I guess beat to death by the fire hose or whatever.
Right. So who's the first person to die in that movie?
First person to die.
Yeah.
Is it the gym teacher?
No.
Shit.
She's like the third. I mean, I guess I'm
right.
assuming that the other people died.
Is it PJ Souls?
I don't know.
The one with the hat?
No. I think it was like the principal. The two guys grab the mic and they get electrocuted.
Yeah.
And then like right after the gym teacher dies, which is great because she's one of definitely like the most redeemable characters in the movie. And I mean, even they have a scene, right? So they have a scene where she, at the very beginning, where she slaps Carrie too because of the whole shower stuff.
Yeah.
Because like Carrie will not calm down.
Right.
And so she slaps her, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like out of frustration. It wasn't because she thought slapping her would actually...
I think she was slapping her to knock her out of it.
I would say that, except even later on, I'm bringing this up because she has a conversation with the principal.
Has a line. Oh, okay.
That she says, so she slaps her and she, like, you're just like, damn, dude, like, she's already dealing with all this shit and now you're slapping her. Then she goes and she's talking to the principal before Sissy Spacebag comes in, Carrie comes in, and she's just like, and you know what's bad is, like, I kind of felt the same way. Like, I couldn't get her to calm down. And so I, like, you know, it was like that type of thing. And so even though she is kind of, like, vindictive in a way towards the other girls, and it almost gives you, like, this impression that she was picked on in high school and she hates the girl bullies, too. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, she's just, like, so quick to be like...
They were definitely giving off vibes with her character that she probably used to be like a pretty girl, or she was picked on as well.
I was so happy when she hit that girl.
Oh,
the antagonist. And I'm like, dude, if teachers could just hit students.
I feel so good, dude.
Like little assholes like that. And I mean, like, I'm not saying it's got to be a common thing. There's got to be a line, but that bitch deserved it, man. Like, she deserved to get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really can't think of anything I want to complain about. I mean, it's it's a very basic story. You could bring up the supernatural elements of her powers, but I think it's done really well. I think the thing that doesn't really work is when she crashes the car, and I think that's simply because of the way it's shot.
Well, it's sped up.
Yeah.
Like big time.
Well, they just didn't have the budget for it, I don't think. But I love her relationship with her mother. I love those scenes. They're incredible. That end scene, I mean, that scarred me as a child was when she crucifies her, essentially. I think the thing that doesn't make sense to me is the why the house just starts to crumble. I didn't get the impression that Carrie was mortally wounded, and so that her powers were causing this to, like...
I don't think it was her powers.
I think if they establish maybe these powers are what the mother says they are. They're like this. It's Satan inhabiting her daughter, or it's the link between them that are causing the powers. And then when she dies, then it causes the powers to, like, she can't control them anymore.
I mean, I guess I got the impression that they were being taken down to hell because she had succumbed to the powers.
Okay.
That she had given in and snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Like up until then, she was kind of controlling it. It was almost always, though, like when she was emotional or something like that. But I mean, what else? Why else would they be taken down to hell like that? I mean, because it doesn't seem like it's just her power doing it as a last minute thing.
The thing we talk about is like when movies, especially like 1970 and before, they just have very quick endings. They just don't know how to end things.
It wasn't even as quick as normal, though. Like,
sure.
I expected it to actually end
I mean, that
quicker.
jump scare is great, and that ending with the dream sequence is very good. I like that. But at the same time, I don't feel like there's enough there, like, to explain what really happens at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
But other than that, I mean, no. I mean, the prom scene still holds up. Her going on a massacre kind of thing is really cool. Overall, I really enjoy it. And I find it odd because I was expecting, like, I had seen Scarface before, and Brian De Palma. I'm not familiar with his other movies, but I couldn't stand Scarface. I thought it was very bland.
That's what I've heard.
And I don't really remember any of the camera work, but I thought in this movie, I don't know, there's just a lot of it that it seems just a very simple
shot
stuff.
when she's going to the bathroom to wipe the blood off.
Yeah.
And the mom's behind the door because I did not see her.
It's amazing. Or like when she breaks the mirror and then her mom comes back in, the mirror's all reassembled.
Yeah. I mean, it's cracked, but...
Yeah, but she brought it all back together. It's just very simple stuff. I love this shot when they're having dinner and the lights go out and then it's just lightning flashing when they're talking.
When she's dragging her to the closet the first time and the way, I mean, because this is like
a lot of high angle, low angle. Like,
and one of our things is show don't tell, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they don't have to tell you how religious she is and how compassionate or how passionate she is about her religion and how far off the deep end she is about it. They show you this closet. Mm-hmm. And they show you the only thing in there are like pictures, candles, and the Bible.
And a horribly bloody and gruesome crucifix.
Right.
Like, it's not even a crucifix. I think it's literally Jesus with arrows, and I thought it was Saint Sebastian.
With like glowing eyes.
Yeah, it's very
Weird.
odd. But I like that they show her first. They establish her. She goes to Sue's mom's house and was trying to, like, spread the good word of Jesus, and then right after that, Carrie gets home, and then she's just like beating the shit out of Carrie, and you're just like, oh my god, this character.
I like the part where the woman's like, the neighbor's like, yeah, let me just give you some money. So it's like, oh, you're one of those people that just gives money so they don't have to listen to me. Okay, I'll take the money. So what do you think about those double focus shots?
I couldn't tell. Were they two different shots put together, spliced, or were they? It was one shot.
I looked it up, and I've already forgotten what it's called, but it's like
it's a dual lens on a camera.
It has to do with a magnifying lens being attached to what they would do is they would normally just put it on one lens, but the way this worked was that they would put it on half of the lens. So you had two different depths of field.
But it's one shot. It's not two shots
It
spliced.
is one shot.
Okay, that's
because
what I
was
figured.
wondering if it was a splice shot. But when I was watching it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense because look how blurry it is. Even in a close-up, this was like, no, their hair wouldn't be that blurry.
Yeah.
It would be focused.
I don't know. At first, I didn't like it, but I liked how they kept using them. And I felt like it wasn't just like a shot for a shot. I feel like
there was a couple times I felt like it wasn't necessary.
Maybe in the
I think they used it when she was like doing the montage of working out the girls. And
Yeah, no, they
didn't
used it at
really
the end
make
when
any
she was about to
sense.
slap her. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a few times that I'm like,
It worked. It
you're
worked
doing
better
it just
with
to do
Carrie
it.
and her mom. That's when it worked.
I just wonder if there's a reason we don't see it anymore.
Probably
Because
it looks kind of fake.
It feels out of place.
Yeah.
Because of that, when you go from, especially when it's like a close up and the other shot isn't a close up, because obviously it's not. It's almost like and I'm assuming what's happened is they've just replaced it with the rack focus.
Yeah.
Like you just go from your close subject to your far subject, or vice versa.
Well, because it's kind of obtuse. It feels like what am I looking at? Why is there
you're
these
like,
two blurry?
I got to look at this,
Right.
and then I got to look at that, and this one's close up and that one's far away.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I really liked talking to Shot. I love the kaleidoscope stuff in the prom scene. It does feel a little hokey or aged, but I feel like it plays really well into it, though.
It worked in that sense, and you can forgive it for its age.
Yeah, I feel like the only time I've ever seen it used anywhere else is probably in a 70s movie where they have like a drug sequence where the characters are like kind of tripping or something. But I can't really think of any other movie that's done it.
Okay, so now that we've watched, and you've watched this a significant portion of Stephen King's filmography,
Sure.
where would you rate that? Because we've got, well, maybe we could just stick to horror, but I know that we have. I mean, I personally put Green Mile is kind of my favorite.
Well, so the only the movies that have really worked for me out of the filmography, the adaptations, are Frank Darabont, which is Green Mile, Shawshank, The Mist. He's done another Stephen King. I can't think of it right now. Rob Reiner did Stand By Me and Misery.
Oh, yeah,
and then Brian De Palma did Carrie. It's usually when a really good filmmaker,
The Shining.
The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, right? So anytime a great filmmaker or a very talented one,
that's true,
has made one, it's usually not been terrible.
He's got more better movies than I thought.
He does have quite a few.
But he has a lot of movies.
He does.
A lot of books.
I don't know,
books,
man.
A lot of movies.
I think for the premise and the time it was made, I feel like it's better than I would think it would be. But
it's
overall,
a lot better than a majority of the 70s horror.
Yes. I don't know. I think I'd feel like it's, as far as like star ratings, I don't know. I think I gave it like a 6.5 or a 7.
Well, that's right. You're a lot stingier than I am.
Well, I think it's just because, to me, I see it's aging too much to like compare it to like, I think Misery holds up incredibly well.
It does, man.
And it's way better than this.
I love that movie.
But that being said, this movie is way better than like.
There's a lot of shitty horror
Zone
movies. A lot of shitty horror movies out there.
And I don't particularly hate Dead Zone, but I feel like this is a better story and told
Dead Zone's
well.
not a horror movie.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It's really not. What about it is horror?
I guess that's true. Out of Stephen King horror, I'm trying to think of a really bad one that I've seen.
Apparently, It Chapter 2 is really bad.
I haven't seen it, so.
It Chapter 1 wasn't all that great either.
Sure, I would say this goes along with his top tier movies. I feel like this is at the bottom of those, but I certainly feel this is the best out of like basic.
I felt like it was different, and I kind of like that.
I'm trying to think of other horror movies that I really can't stand that have been adapted of his. I mean, I'm not counting Made for TV.
The Langoliers.
No, it's definitely worth a watch, and its good scenes outweigh its bad. So I don't think it's like Misery or Green Mile where I feel like it's almost perfect. I don't feel that way, but I feel it's very good.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a complaint about Misery.
There really isn't. I need to rewatch it, but
I rewatched it like 3 or 4 years ago and loved it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, you looked that up. We'll move on. So chronologically, we're talking about Sleep Tight next.
Mientras duermes.
Mientras duermes.
You didn't even say it right, dude.
Spanish. I know Spanish.
No, you don't. And I barely know Spanish.
Mientras leveres.
Damn it, you're screwing me up. Mientras duermes. Duermes.
Okay.
Sleep Tight, 2011.
Sleep Tight, 2011. I don't remember where I even first saw this.
Shudder on Prime, probably.
That's where I watched it. Is that where you watched it? Yeah, so I probably was going through Shudder and just typing in things in IMDb and looking at it. And, personally, if IMDb shows a horror movie with a 7 or greater, I usually would like to give it a shot. 6.5 usually. Once again, though, I know that we do talk about horror movies a lot. I don't feel like this is a horror movie.
No, it's a thriller.
But that doesn't mean I didn't fucking like the shit out of it.
Dude, it's so good.
I like it.
It's so good. Okay, so spoiler warning ahead, huge. And this movie really depends on, even if you're not super into spoilers, this movie depends on it. So please go watch this. I think it's still on Shudder and streaming on Prime. Mientras duermes, Sleep Tight, 2011. It is worth the watch. Yeah, even if you're not into like horror, it's more like Hitchcock. Very. I don't even know how to describe it.
It's his own thing.
Yeah. The only thing it reminded me of was like The Skin I Live In, the other Spanish movie.
Yeah,
I know
but
it's
you know what's
completely
weird
different
about that, because this is an interesting film because you're following the bad guy.
Yeah.
Almost the entire film.
Yeah.
There's not many scenes where it's not basically from his point of view.
It's only from his perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you so badly want to find something.
Dude, I empathize with him the whole time until he starts like revealing these horrible things. I'm like,
right.
oh, okay.
And you want, but you're like,
but that's what he's a good villain.
Yeah, they're doing it and I don't think I've ever seen it. They're doing it the opposite way, like where you think there are redeemable qualities by the shots that they give you, and the interactions that they show, and you're like, oh, look, he's nice to this person. Oh, he's got some sort of secret dark thing that he likes to do in his free time. Whatever, he's nice to these people during the day. Oh, he wakes up next to his wife. No, he doesn't.
No, there's a duality to everything he does. Mm-hmm. Everything. I especially love. I think when he talks to the woman in the hospital, that's not really his mom.
No, did you not notice that he
went to the other woman?
He changed them. That is one of the most brilliant things
so good,
I
dude.
have ever seen.
I know, because I second guessed myself because I'm like, that's not the.
No, I went back. I went back because I go, no, he went to the other one.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
because it shows you just how narcissistic this person is.
Yeah,
that. Like I know that we just kind of jumped ahead here, but the only person that he ever reveals his stuff to, other than himself, like in because he's like narrating throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The only person he ever talks to about his stuff is quote unquote his mom, who he goes and sees, who is bedridden, cannot talk, and really can't move, and. Then the second time he goes, there's two people in the room, two older women in the room, and he goes and sits next to the other one and calls it her mom, calls her his mom, and you're just like, that's so good.
It's great because it's just like this person, literally when he says in the opening is, I don't know what happiness is, I can't find happiness. It's true. He's the definition of a sociopath. He
which these people do exist, the ones that literally have no empathy whatsoever,
no connection,
and he's wants to kill himself because he cannot figure out, and he only gets pleasure from other people's misery. He wants other people to feel as bad as he does, and the way he does it is rough, to say the least. Now, maybe I'm probably jumping too far ahead here, and I'll save it for later. But I do have one complaint.
Sure.
And it's towards the end.
Okay. Well, just brief rundown of the movie. He's a concierge. He works in this apartment complex. He's basically the doorman, the handyman. He serves a lot of roles. France? He lives there. No, Spain. This is in Barcelona. And turns out the opening shot, he wakes up with this woman. You think it's his wife, or he's cheating with this girlfriend. He goes about his daily business. He meets her in the hallway. When he opens the door for her, they have this kind of exchange.
I didn't even know it was her.
Right. I recognized her, but
I didn't. From the picture, I couldn't tell what.
Because they show her waking up, so I assume that was the same woman.
Oh, I see.
And he gets up much earlier than her. I assume that maybe it was a one night stand, whatever. They're not connecting, and their conversation's very brief. And then the next night, you realize that he's been sleeping under her bed the whole time, and he watches her, chloroforming her so she doesn't wake up, and sleeps next to her. He's like just this voyeur. Well, he's more than that. They reveal more later on in the movie. But it's just, you're watching this person just trying to feel emotions and compassion or anything really.
Right, he obviously wants something though, because he's not just like later on you get this impression that he just wants to make other people miserable, right?
Yeah.
But when he's first kind of staying in her bed and stuff like that, is that what's happening?
No, I feel like it's more of he's just observing her, trying to figure
Okay.
out
Okay.
why she has these feelings, what makes her human and what doesn't make him human, essentially.
Yeah, it's so creepy, man.
It's disgusting.
There's no way I'm going to tell my girlfriend to watch that movie, because she'd be like, nah, I got to look under my bed every single night.
Also, I love that they do this too many times in movies where the psychopath or the killer is so omnipotent that he doesn't make any mistakes. I love this guy is clumsy as fuck and he makes so many mistakes all the time.
It's so, and when he gets caught
dude.
later,
like
in the apartment,
that
by
seems
the boyfriend,
amazing.
and I go, thank God, because he dodged so many different interactions, and then he's just like, oh, I'll just go skip across the door again, and the guy.
Can't think how many times during that movie there was so many scenes where I'm like, in any other film or any other director's hands, this scene would not work. But they fucking I don't know how he did it. It's really
I will say, and this is not what I was going to talk about earlier, but the fact that the couple go from finding this bag of shit underneath the bed to making out in the bathroom and are probably going to have sex in the shower doesn't make a ton of sense.
Well, no, and the fact that only the boyfriend's suspicious, and she's not suspicious of that he has a fucking handsaw and rope and
syringes.
Shit. Yeah, like things that are clearly not for
debugging.
Getting the bugs out of her apartment.
Yeah.
But
so he finds all these different things, and it's not just her, but he's working on her, and this gives him a reason to live, because she just won't break down.
Right.
She's just always chipper, and he hates it. He hates that she's always happy. And with everybody else, anytime that it seems like they're getting too happy, like he does with the older woman and her dogs, he does something to fuck with them.
Yeah.
Like poisons the woman's dog. And so he keeps trying to figure out what is going to mess with this girl, and finding out things about her, like she hates bugs. Like, he goes into her apartment, sees all the bug spray, like 8 cans of fucking bug spray underneath the thing. Who needs that much shit? Okay. And he goes, oh, yeah, so you hate bugs. And then, like one day, I mean, her apartment is absolutely...
Where do you buy cockroach
I don't
eggs?
know. I mean, like, you would argue that would also be something that it isn't really realistic, because
she didn't open up.
She wakes up, she walks around, everything's okay, and then opens it, and it's just covered in bugs.
Yeah, she hadn't opened the...
Walks out back into the main room, and they're everywhere, and you're like, you didn't see them on the way
it's
in?
for effect. It's for the movie.
I know.
But, like, she didn't open up the cupboard, like, in 8 days when they were breeding or, like, developing.
No, but, I mean, it's so well paced.
Yeah,
you don't feel like there's any waste of a scene.
No,
the stuff with the little girl seeing him and knowing.
Yeah,
and I mean, like, you kind of get a sense, and that's what's so good about it. You get the sense of his character, but you don't really.
No,
because even when he goes in, because the little girl has seen him coming out of this apartment, talking to the girl, like she talks to the girl, to the woman, and figures out that, like, she isn't even aware that guy's in there, and she's holding it over his head and blackmailing her. It's a little girl. She doesn't know. She really doesn't know the danger that she's in.
Right.
So then when she, like, threatens him, he comes in, chloroforms her entire family.
Yeah.
And then holds her outside of a window.
That scene.
And I was like, he's gonna let her go.
Yeah, I was expecting it.
I mean, yeah, but that's what's so great about it, because you didn't know. Like, but as the viewer, even as many movies as we've watched, I still wasn't sure whether or not he was the type of person that just wanted to, close all loose ends.
Yeah.
Do you just let her go? Right? It's so good.
Yeah. All right, we'll go into the thing that you don't like.
Okay, so I'm not saying I don't like it. I just think that okay, so I feel like it brings the movie down just slightly. And I'm not saying that there's no reason for it, because I can come up with a reason. But I don't like that he's actually raping her.
Oh, okay.
Because of his character and all the things that
you don't feel like he actually has a sexual need.
Yeah, and like it just didn't seem like because she's asleep, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like now I know what the reasoning could be, and that's to say he's deliberately trying to get her pregnant so that he can then reveal to her
at the end,
that child is his.
Mm-hmm.
And that she has to live with that for the rest of her life, and that gives him a reason to be happy.
I feel I think why it works is because they don't show him do it, and it's not revealed till the very end, and I don't feel like that was the main focus of his endeavor was to sexually abuse her. It was just another tool to make her miserable.
I understand that. I do. But it then pushes him past completely irredeemable.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the last step. He hasn't killed any... Okay, he did kill the guy, but kind of in self-defense. But beyond that, he's messing with people, yes, and he's a terrible person, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out he's also raping this woman while she's passed out.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that takes away any sort of connection.
But I think that's why it works, because it's not delivered till the very end. You don't realize that's the final nail in the coffin, is that this horrible person has been manipulating people and getting away with
stuff. Well, it's not the very end.
No.
It's actually 20 minutes before the end.
Oh, you're right.
Because that's why they're getting in the argument.
That's right.
And you knew as soon as they started arguing about it what had happened.
I don't know. I think it's late enough to where you know that you're not supposed to this character's not supposed to be redeemable. But even then, I feel like maybe that says a horrible thing about me.
I guess I feel like the character has to have something, and I just don't. I feel like that took every last piece away.
I guess I'm just not that empathetic of a person if that's not the final straw.
I'm not. I just like okay. So this is just my personal reaction. Mm-hmm. When I heard that, I go, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's all I could think about, for the rest of the movie.
But basically. I feel like they did enough where the whole movie you felt conflicted about rooting for him, and I felt like that hadn't changed even after they make that reveal. I feel like the whole time, I like this character, but at the same time, I'm disgusted by him because of what he is doing.
And well, I guess what the reason that I was so focused on it when it happened was because I got the impression he wasn't doing it.
Okay.
Like the way they show him in there and he just lays next to her and he's not holding her really and up against her and stuff like that. I guess I had thought about that earlier on. I was like, is he having sex with this woman? I'm like, no, I don't think he is. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So then when it is revealed, and I understand there is a reason for it, I still felt
it might have been more like kind of what they did in Don't Breathe, if he had basically artificially inseminated her, and he's not even about the sex. He literally just wanted to get her pregnant to fuck with her. Maybe if that separation was noted, that it would be easier to understand what's going on in his head and not necessarily just instantly, oh yeah, I can't identify with this character, even though he's a horrible human being. I can't root for him anymore because he's doing one of the most disgusting things he could do to a person. So I understand that, but I feel like
won.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, he made her miserable.
Yeah.
Killed her boyfriend. Made her pregnant with his child.
I just didn't feel like, I don't know, maybe I was caught in the reveal and it didn't really, I guess it to me, what he was doing already was already despicable enough that it didn't cross the threshold for me to not continue to watch what this character was trying to get, what he was doing and explore with this character. So I don't know.
It also changes the ending. I mean, it
sure
does. So I mean, it's fine the way it is. I'm not complaining. I think that
but I understand your concern.
Because if you don't do that, then the only true ending is that he kills himself.
Right.
Which is a little predictable.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel as as interesting because in this scenario it's so much more interesting that the villain wins and gets some sort of happiness.
And as despicable as this guy is, and we've talked about him, I still don't feel like I do when I watch, like we talked about some of those movies where you're just like, it's going to be a while before I watch that one again. Like, just because of how rough it is to watch.
You got to give me an example because I'm blanking right now.
Well, we talked about like Uncut Gems.
Oh,
I'm not saying like Martyrs. Like you.
Oh, just
like,
watching people just like the most fucked up things happen.
Like it's just hard, or like we have problems with Nightingale. I have problems big time.
But
it's also just really difficult to watch
Yeah.
certain parts, and that does factor in whether or not I watch it again.
I feel like this movie rode the line incredibly well because there wasn't a moment where I was like super disgusted like Martyrs or like Nightingale.
I
was intrigued, right? Yeah. But I don't know, man. When he kills that boyfriend, that scene is so good because it's like, fuck, man. That guy
in the bathtub.
Yeah,
when he's just like sitting there and he's just bleeding out, and you're like, oh, he's not dying. He's just laying there.
Yeah.
But I would watch it again. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I am not like I'm disgusted with the character, but it wasn't exactly rough to watch.
No.
Because they don't. Besides that, maybe that scene where he kills the husband, or the boyfriend. They do such a good job of really not showing the things that he does.
I think that's what makes it so good is that it's like he's leaving all the disgusting things in the shadow and you're just seeing him.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, God damn.
Like we know your actions.
Yeah.
And he's great. I mean, like the guy's great. The girl's great. Like I said, the cinematography is amazing. I love the
pacing, editing, everything. Yeah, it's dude.
I can't believe I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah. And I don't know if this guy, this is the same director as Record. I don't know if he's really made any other movies. Probably just a lot of Spanish dramas and stuff. But it's really good, dude. Oh God.
Yeah, this is one of those. I think that's one of those. It's just one of those films that you wish would happen more often.
Yeah.
But I guess they're few and far between for a reason. And
yeah, that's probably what makes it so good is because they took the time with it and they figured out, hey, is this the right way to go? Has this been done before? And I really can't think of any other thrillers that have done the same way where they pay attention to this type of character.
Not like that.
Yeah.
Not like that.
And the ending's always like almost uplifting unless it's like Fincher. Almost every thriller, the ending is like, oh, the good guy won.
No. The good guy don't win.
No.
And you feel so bad for her. At least she has a child, but whatever.
It's not hers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is hers.
Yeah,
it's hers.
Half hers.
It's hers. She just didn't know it was hers.
God.
All right. Check it out, though. There's not going to be any watch this and not that this week.
No, these are all worth it. We're going to talk about two more right now that maybe they're not nearly as good.
They don't hold up like the other ones, but
they are worth the watch.
They are worth the watch, especially in this shitty genre of horror that has so many god-awful movies. So which one's first? Is it
Super Dark Times?
Oh, that was before?
Clovehitch, yeah. 1 year before.
2018?
Clovehitch was 2018. Super Dark is 2017.
All right, you want to take it away?
Oh, God. Okay. So we're going to talk about both of these movies, because they both kind of share the same elements, same themes, as well as having very underwhelming and disappointing endings. Super Dark Times is about spoilers. Go watch both of these movies. These are worth it, and these endings do spoil what's going on. But at the same time, the level isn't that high for these, because you can kind of tell where they're going to go. The reveals are pretty generic, and unfortunately, that's not what we wanted.
I personally thought that Super Dark Times was better than Clovehitch.
Oh, really?
I do feel like that first section is better than.
Okay.
Because we talk about that scene in Clovehitch with the dad.
Mm-hmm.
And how much we like that.
Yeah.
But everything up until then was good, but not like as good as that. Whereas I would argue that
the scenes between the kids are so strong.
I would argue that everything up until that switch at the end of Super Dark Times is like is really good.
I think I'm biased because I like Dylan McDermott so much in this movie, and I love the kid.
He's got a big boner for Dylan McDermott.
He's good. He's good. He just takes a lot of shitty roles.
Dylan McBoner.
Dylan McBoner. But you're probably right. Super Dark Times. That it may be better, but I like Clovehitch.
So we'll start with Super Dark.
So it's in the 90s. It's a bunch of kids in high school. Middle school.
High school. The one kid's in middle school.
Okay, so
that's right, because he goes to the middle school.
Two main friends, and then they also have two other friends that they kind of meet up with every once in a while.
Yeah, it's like classic, like go to the gas station and
fuck around
and on your bikes and help.
Very Stranger Things elements, but a little bit darker, a little bit more like poorer kind of. And basically the setup is just they're just kind of kids being kids hanging around, and an accident happens where one kid, they're fucking around with a samurai sword, and one kid he dies because the other kid stabs him by accident. So complete accident. But then the kids don't know how to handle it, so they just decide to bury him and leave him, and then go along with their lives and pretend like it didn't happen. And that's the movie.
They didn't bury him.
Okay, sorry.
They threw him in the woods and threw some leaves on top of him.
Okay, yes. Just kind of
pretend like it didn't happen. He's a big boy, too.
Yeah. And everything about it, the opening, the setup, the misdirection, then the accident, then the main character dealing with the death, dealing with his friend, the relationship with his mom.
Accident. So the accident scene is so well done.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this. There's this big, fat kid is kind of like the raunchy, annoying kid.
Yeah.
But like not socially. I mean, like he's socially inept, but in a bad way.
He's the one kid in the group that everyone picks on, basically, in every kind of.
Yeah, but he can fight back.
Yes,
and he does, and you could tell he's like dealt with that, and so he like stole the weed out of the one kid's room that his brother had.
Right,
and then they start arguing in the park, and they brought the samurai sword along with them to just fuck around, as kids do. I had a samurai sword at one point. It was shitty. Probably
from,
just like
Earthbound.
Probably. I don't remember. No, I think it was like the Japanese festival at the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. Cut watermelons and boxes of water.
Just like tried it on a tree, and you have these big chips out of your sword in the first swing, and you're like, okay, good to know. I like the sheath. Yeah, but so they go out to the park and they decide to fuck around with the sword, and you're like, yeah, kids being kids. It happens. And you just know, but you know.
To me, it's very comparable to like the scene in Uncut Gems, spoilers for Uncut Gems, when they finally introduce the gun at the end of the movie, and it's just like, when is that gun going to go off?
Yeah.
There's, I don't know if Alfred Hitchcock made the quote, but there's like, as soon as our attention is like putting a bomb under a desk and the two characters don't know it's there and the audience know it's there, it's like, when is the bomb going to go off? So in this case, the bomb or the gun is the sword, and you're just like, when is the sword going to cut somebody? When is it going to stab them? And there's so many times when it's going to happen, and then it happens at the last minute. And you just keep
waiting, and you almost think that it's not going to happen.
Right.
And you go like, well, I know what the premise of this movie is, but maybe it's not the sword.
Right.
Like maybe it doesn't happen here. No, it happens here. And it feels organic.
Yeah.
Like they do a good job.
It's great because not only does it happens realistically, and the kid just doesn't die immediately. He gets off of the sword and he runs away.
Right. He starts stumbling into the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And it's rough.
Dude.
Because you're just like, yeah, this kid's a shit. I get it. But, like, he's dying.
Yeah.
Like, you're, like, watching this kid stumbling into the woods dying, and you're watching these kids watch this kid stumble into the woods dying. And they know, and they're party to this. And so you're wondering, what would I do?
Dude, and it's so great when the main character starts putting the leaves all over him. He's like, we got to bury him, pretend like it didn't happen. The kid that accidentally stabbed him, he's standing there. He doesn't know what to do. He's just like, I guess I'm just going to let this happen. And then the fat kid's friend, he comes over. He's like, we should probably get rid of the sword too, right? And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna run and tell people. No, he's like, no.
Middle school. That's the middle school kid.
Yeah, he's like, nope. We're just gonna pretend like this didn't happen.
Yep. So they hide it there. Obviously, the kid ends up kind of going missing, but nobody really it isn't taken like super seriously.
Right. Well, he was poor, and his dad is not there.
Right.
Stuff.
So they all thought maybe he ran away because that's a common theme. But the kids, the main character that you're following starts to freak out naturally, and the girl that he likes starts to show him that she likes him as well, but he can't get it up. Let's say that
he can't be romantically interested in her because he's not sleeping, because he feels guilty because he participated in an accidental murder,
and it's very realistic.
His dream sequences are awesome. Like, you see how exhausted he is, how he can't focus, how he's panicking when he's calling people. Like, who do I talk to about this? Talking to the other friends, like, hey, we need to take care of this, and they don't know how to do it.
And you think that the friend that killed the kid is being very reclusive and dealing with the same things in a way, except the main guy wants to talk about it, and the other guy doesn't, which makes sense. Yeah, you're just like, well, yeah, he's the one that killed him. He doesn't want to talk about it, and he doesn't want anybody else to know about it. And the middle school kid's just like, stop fucking talking about it. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you talking
calling
to me?
That's not good.
Yeah, he's very true crime watcher. Yeah. This is how we get caught, dumbass. He's like,
we don't go to the same school. Why are you going to the other school to talk to me?
He's like the smartest of the three. And so this is so at one point he goes to the park and then finds out the sword's gone, right?
Mm-hmm. And the body's been
kind of moved,
mutilated.
Yeah,
like the fingers are gone and stuff.
Right. And while this works at the time, this is when the movie starts to take that shift.
Yeah.
That it shouldn't have.
I'm just remembering things now that I didn't like. That phone call when he calls again to the middle school friend and panicking, and that whole conversation felt incredibly off.
It was weird.
I think the writing wasn't strong enough. You were showing that the main character, he could act when he didn't really talk a lot, but when he was talking a lot, his stuff was kind of failing. But overall, I would say all the kid actors, well, they're not kids. They're, middle school,
the one guy from Ozark.
Right.
That's the friend. He's good.
I thought they were all very talented, and they did things that were very kid-like. They felt like kids.
It's a true coming-of-age story.
It is, in a lot of ways. I remember that first time when I murdered my friend in a park.
I hate teenage movies, man.
But it felt real.
I like this movie.
Yeah, the opening's great. They're pointing in a yearbook talking about which girls they jack off to.
Yeah, exactly.
That establishes the mood first off. It's like, okay, it's fucked up, but people have done that. I know people that have done that. And it's like they're fucking with each other. They're yelling at each other. They have a very interesting relationship.
So then they decide, fuck that. Fuck that realism of high school kids
dealing with an accident. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead, we're gonna
the side character that accidentally killed the other guy. He's a psychopath, and he's a serial killer.
Yeah. He is now.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Up until he and he accidentally killed this kid.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really... Here's the thing. If you had left it ambiguous in whether or not he did it on purpose...
Or at the end,
the argument.
Maybe he mercy kills him at the end. He's like, well, listen, I did what I had to do because he was suffering, kind of deal. If they did that, then you could kind of pull out the idea, well, maybe he did it on purpose. Rather than
the big kid killing the big kid?
So if they follow him into the woods and he has the sword and he's like, well, what do we do? And he's like, he's bleeding out or something, and then he chooses to kill him.
Did they finish him? I don't remember.
No, they don't.
No.
He just dies.
Right,
if they made that choice, then it would make more sense if he becomes a serial killer.
Or if they just kind of showed the struggle in a way that left it open-ended, whether or not he deliberately...
Because literally the fat kid falls on the sword.
Yeah, he falls on it. Yeah, I'm saying it would have had to been a different struggle. If you'd done that, I would find the ending a little bit more believable. I still wouldn't have liked it.
Right, because it doesn't match the rest of the tone of the movie.
But it is so clearly an accident.
Yes.
It is so clearly an accident. So then all of a sudden when he takes this shift into, oh, well, I actually like murdering people. Oh. You haven't given me any reason to believe that.
He has 2 other scenes after the initial accident, and there's not enough in those scenes to establish that he's...
It's like he's going through puberty, but for a serial killer.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's really aggravating, and it sucks because even in the ending, the way this movie is shot, edited, how gritty it is, it feels real. It feels...
It almost has that like gray filter on it.
Yeah,
a little bit like dreary.
But it feels like everything has like weight
cloudy
to it. Like when the kid gets accidentally stabbed by the sword, or when at the end the friend who is now the serial killer trying to kill everyone, like when he cuts people and hits people, it feels very impactful. It feels real and fucked up.
It's shot in a way that they're not adding sound effects. They're not playing some sort of shitty.
And you don't know who's going to live.
Soundtrack.
Like at a certain point, you're just like, oh shit, things are just going to happen.
But. And that's what sucks about it is because it is well shot and the sound effects are great and everything like that and the choreography is good, but I can't look past the fact that it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't match. Not only does it not match the story, it doesn't match the themes, it doesn't match the motivations of the characters.
You have given me no background to that kid.
No,
nothing other than maybe he gets picked on from time to time.
Yeah, no, it feels like a different kind of movie, and I don't know why they made this choice. And it might have been just a writer's block, or they're like, well, we need to have some really big twist for this movie, which they didn't need to have. It could have been one of those movies that's kind of like a slice of life, kind of fucked up kind of movie where it's just like the ending just kind of happens. Like
maybe they get away with it.
They get away with it. The body's not discovered. I kind of would liked that kind of ending where these kids just have to live with this.
Yeah, like because you're used to, especially being in
or maybe the friend that accidentally
area.
Killed the fat kid, he just kills himself, and then the main character has to live with that.
Or he runs away.
Yeah, or I don't know, anything.
Yeah,
you just watch this person
shows you
like
just how fucked up somebody becomes.
He drops out of school. He can't live with his mom. He doesn't tell his mom what happened, and he just becomes a failure. And you're just like, well, why does this happen? Oh, right, because he watched a friend die. And he has to live with it.
Instead they decided it was better to the last shot.
Oh yeah, the girl.
Girl, which you notice that we haven't talked about very much, because she's an ancillary character.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a terrible character, and her actress is not bad. It just she's not the focus of the movie.
Not at all.
So why is she the last person?
She looks like Emmy Rossum.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's good in her scenes, but she serves the purpose of she's one of the outside motivations for this character to try to adapt to normal life after experiencing this horrific event, like his mom or like his classmates. She's not the focus of the movie, and the fact that the last shot of the movie is her living through this ordeal, and now she's trying to adapt to real life. Where the fuck is the main character? Where the fuck did he go? Did he die? Did he get arrested? I want to know. No, we're not going to tell you. It's fucking stupid.
I don't get it.
It's fucking stupid, and I hate it.
Yeah, so they basically just have a big fight at the end and with sword. And...
Yeah, and the friend gets arrested, and the main character, he lives, or he's getting his wounds tended to.
He's basically just like sitting on the back of an ambulance, like you see in a bunch of different movies where, like, it's like, no, I mean, he got pretty fucked up. Don't get me wrong. And if they hadn't already been on their way to the house,
how to
maybe
end the
he
movie
bled
better
out.
is even if we go with this stupid serial killer ending, is the end shot of the movie is it cuts from that hard cut to him getting into the jail cell and like going to the two-way microphone and talking to his friend. It's like, why did you do this? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like we need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah,
where his mom's talking to him,
and he's like, I'm starting to not understand why I did the things I did.
It's great.
Yeah, just
like
do an ending like
good.
that. But instead, no, we got to focus on this other character.
No, it's very Hollywood. It's very M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
It's just
esque.
But anyway, please check it out. The first 3/4.
I know we just
end
we end on a bad note,
but
I mean, so did the movie.
But that's the problem is that the first half is so good that it makes the last half look so bad, and that's the same thing for Clovehitch. Probably in your book less than, but I think. You'll
probably have to talk about this because you've watched it again more recently than I have.
I don't think I rewatched it. I
thought you just said that you had rewatched it.
No, I was talking about it. Somebody else had watched it. Clovehitch, it's about a kid and his dad. His dad is the Cub Scout leader. They're super religious, and he starts finding signs that his dad might have been a serial killer at one point.
Right.
And it's kind of ambiguous for a long time, and then it's deliberately told that he is a serial killer, and the son has to deal with deal with this aspect that his whole world has been broken, that his father is a murderer, and then
And then he gets on a bus.
yeah, I mean, so again, the first 3/4 of the movie are so fucking good. You're watching this character have like it kind of having a normal slice of life. Like, I was raised Catholic. I wasn't raised as strictly religious as this character, but I understand the Cub Scouts, the dad being like, "Hey,
and Dylan McDermott's very good.
He's really good as like the quintessential like dorky dad."
And the main character's got a love interest as well. Emo, is she emo chick? Was that right?
She's the outcast because she's the slut of
the
school or whatever.
But she's looking into the Clovehitch killer.
Right, because her mother was killed by the Clovehitch killer.
Right.
So basically, this kid, he's just a normal kid in his little kind of world, and then he finds some porn in his dad's truck while he's trying to hook up with this girl, and it freaks this girl out, different girl. And it turns out it's like a choke.
It's like S&M
choking stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the Clovehitch killer is known that he killed all of his victims with a Clovehitch knot. He choked them to death.
Which obviously is a nice,
it's unique. It's different.
It's not just unique, but it's obviously supposed to bring your attention to his dad because he's a
he's a Cub Scout leader, and he knows a lot of knots.
He talks about knots. Yes.
Yeah. And so there's these things that the kid starts to suspect or kind of like rethink, is like, oh, well, why is Dad's shed always locked? Why does Dad go away on these trips?
He found the thing underneath the house.
Right. He goes into the crawl space and he finds there's this, box of like, there's dead animals, and there's a box of all this porn and weird.
Then he blames
there's
it on
like a map
uncle.
and stuff. Yeah. So the one other character in the movie, other than the main family, the Dylan McDermott, his wife, the little kid sister, and the main kid, is the uncle, who's a paraplegic, and the Dylan McDermott blames it on the uncle, saying that he was in an accident, but he was the Clovehitch before the accident. And so the kid believes him.
Did we meet the uncle?
Yes, you see him in some scenes, but like he doesn't speak.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
But basically, it's all from the kid's perspective up until a certain point. The kid decides to go on a trip by himself. The dad sends him away because the dad's realizing he's becoming suspicious.
Yeah, it's like a summer camp thing, isn't it?
Right.
Something?
Some training camp.
Yeah.
But you might believe that maybe the dad has a secret, but he's not the Clovehitch. And then the movie completely shifts to Dylan McDermott's perspective, and it's revealed that he is the Clovehitch, and he's trying to move on from the murder spree, but he realizes that he can't, and he needs to murder another victim. And then it's revealed the kid didn't go away.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about the dad stuff first, because let's not jump in there yet.
Okay, all right.
Because this is the best part of the movie. It is.
Yes.
The scene with the dad alone doing his thing.
It's the most interesting part of the movie. I don't know if it's the best part of the movie, because I do like the family relations. I do like the kid, the strict religious upbringing.
I'm saying is the best scene in the movie.
Sure.
Other than the ending of it.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely raw, kind of like in the way that we're talking about Super Dark Times in the end, like the fight scene and stuff like that. Yeah, just
very, very
it's very
uncomfortable. Yeah.
And you feel for this woman that is being bound, and
yeah, you watch his whole process from picking a victim, lining everything up, sending his family away, trying to even stop himself by taking photos of himself as a victim to kind of get sexual pleasure out of it, so he doesn't have to go kill something.
Is that what you think that was for?
I think it was.
Okay, I didn't get that impression.
I don't know.
I thought it was just something that he got off on, and so he did it.
No, I think he was literally trying to stop himself from killing somebody.
That's an interesting perspective.
So you watch all this, and then you're like, okay, so he's now decided he's going to go after the victim, and you watch him get all the way with the victim. Like, he breaks into the house, he pretends that he's a burglar, and like you think, well, maybe he's not going to do anything to her or whatever. Like, maybe he's going to...
Doesn't he like tell her that everything's going to be okay?
Everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to steal your money and your
clearly
wallet.
Gets off on that too.
Right. You're just watching him
hope
in his raw element, and you don't know what he's going to do. That's what makes it so interesting and disturbing.
You almost like, for me personally, when we were watching it, I almost got the impression that maybe he wasn't the Clovehitch killer, and he was just another...
Right, he was
having some other issues. Like, he did do bad things, but he wasn't actually the Clovehitch killer.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was gonna, rob the place and do the things that he wanted to do, but he was gonna let her live.
Mm-hmm.
And then that clearly was not the case.
But it's so good up until the point that it's the reveal is that the son didn't go away to the camp.
Which we all knew.
Right. He was stalking his father with the other girl who was suspecting that his dad was the Clovehitch. They've been doing their little Scooby-Doo detective.
We'll stop right here, right? So they've been doing that before the scene with Dylan McDermott by himself.
Yeah.
They've been scoping it out. And then the movie tries to trick the audience into believing that the kid has given up. He's like, okay, my dad's not the Clovehitch killer. I love my dad. Even though he's got flaws, I love my dad. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go off onto this summer camp. Obviously bullshit, right?
Right.
So then, as the audience that hasn't watched this movie yet, what would you think happens next? Well, it's not what you think. He just shows up. He just shows up in the house. Mm-hmm. He's been following his dad, but then she doesn't just show up in the house and then then they finish the scene. No. We have to cut to what, 20 minutes?
Oh yeah, dude. It's long.
20 minutes
showing all the old
going
scenes,
back in the past and showing
the different vantage,
the different vantage point of the son when the dad's doing all this stuff.
And it's far less interesting because we've already seen this footage.
We know what the kid's going to do.
And there's no tension anymore because now we're watching it from a different angle because they've been there the whole time, so there was no imminent dangers because they could have stopped it at any time. So
you could have just cut these 20 minutes out and covered it with some sort of exposition.
Or intersplice it. Show the kid go off on the bus, give it a little bit of time to just show Dylan McDermott by himself, and then you show the kid come back. He waited for the bus to do the whole return.
Because it's what I mean, the movies can't be longer than an hour and 40 minutes. But it's like 20 minutes with Dylan McDermott and 20 minutes with the kid. You don't have
to show every scene with the kid from the different vantage point because when they do the whole scene when Dylan McDermott's dressing up as the woman and taking photos of himself, kind of in that kind of weird element, and then the girl interrupts it. We don't have to see the other element where he's texting the girl to get in there, get out of there to see what he's doing. That ruins that whole scene.
Well, I don't know. I'm being dramatic here, but I'm insulted.
Yeah.
When something like that happens,
you
because
have to tell
it makes
the
me
audience
think
what's happening.
Yeah, it makes me think the filmmaker doesn't think I know how to put two and two together, and not just that, but so what's the other argument?
all of those scenes that they're so long, they could have just done a quick flash of showing them they were there the whole time. They don't have to show the whole scene of them going through it.
They would show the entire the entire thing. So you're
basically
just really watching
lazy
the scene again
and annoying because it's you can't work backwards.
Right.
You've already and it kills all the tension in the previous scene.
100%.
So
then you already know what's coming.
Right.
Because they don't actually show the kid entering the room to confront his dad until after you've watched this 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
they do. They show the kid enter the room. It's a hard cut to black,
and that's it.
Back to the rest,
which is
of
even
the
worse.
Which is horrible.
Yeah,
it's
but either way, you're right. I mean, no matter what they had done, because of the order and the way they did it, you killed the tension. 100%.
It feels like just a very kind of made-for-TV movie element that was not necessary at all. Because this movie feels just like Super Dark Times, very realistic, very gritty, down to earth. Knows what it's doing, is careful with its placement of its characters and its reveals, and it feels like that twist is
very
really
out of place.
So
I mean, so besides this 20 minutes of these scenes trying to cover their asses and explain why the kid is still there and everything that led up to that, what's the other reasoning for that 20 minutes?
To pad time, I guess, but it didn't feel like that needed it because the movie's already. Let's see how long this movie is. It's an hour and 50. So if you cut out that 20 minutes, you're still at 90 minutes, which is most horror movies.
Solid amount of time for a horror movie. Because personally, I feel like it's what they were going for is they wanted you to feel what the kid would be feeling in those moments.
Which,
why do we need that?
No.
I mean, like we can do that. We can figure that out. Just like we could figure out how he got there and figured everything else out. We understand what the kid's going through. We've been going through it the entire movie.
Yeah.
He's been thinking
and
his dad
we can put it together. It's not like we have to visually see the character. As an audience, the character is the audience. Now, the character isn't seeing everything that the dad is doing in the house. That's why we get to, as the audience, get to see it. And the kid can already assume what's happening. He's just getting in there to stop him.
Okay, so let's say switch gears.
Okay.
Cut out that entire 20-minute scene.
Sure.
So instead, you've got him, and does he dress up before, during, while the other woman's tied up, or is he doing other things?
That whole scene where he's dressing up as a woman is entirely before he picks out his target. So
okay. So the scene where he's doing the stuff to the woman before the son walks in.
Yeah.
Instead, what if you have a shot that's more inside the room, pointed towards the door, just like how they ended the scene before they cut to black.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid sits there and watches for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like he stands in front of the door. Dad's not looking at the door. He's quiet.
Yeah, almost
Even
like a shot where
the
woman's on the ground, Dylan McDermott's on her, tying the knot, trying to strangle her, and then it reveals as like Dylan McDermott goes down out of frame, the kid's behind him in the doorway, just kind of watching.
Doesn't that give you every feeling that you would want to go for in that 20 minutes?
Yeah,
like seeing his father actually do this, because
at first, like even during that whole flashback sequence, he's still doubting that his father's the killer,
right?
Until he's literally in the house with her.
But then, you know what else that does? It, as the viewer, personally, I would have wondered if he was going to let his dad do it.
Yeah.
Like, not because he couldn't do anything about it, but because he was making a decision.
Right.
He was going to support his dad's.
Which is what I thought they were going to do with the very end of the movie.
Exactly.
But they didn't. So, okay. Right. So not only is this flashback sequence the issue with the movie, so what happens after kid catches Dylan McDermott trying to kill this lady in the room. He goes to shoot his dad. The gun. So the dad is, as well as Knots, he's trained in firearms training for Boy Scouts. He's taken the pin, the firing pin, or not loaded the gun that the kid has. And so there's this great moment where you don't think the kid's going to shoot him. The kid actually pulls the trigger, and Dylan McDermott's like, can't believe you just did that. And he goes and he cocks his gun. He's going to shoot his own son, and then the girl interrupts. And I thought they were going to go for Dylan McDermott is going to kill the girl. He's going to tell his son, we have to, if you don't do this, if you don't cover this up with me, you're going to accidentally disappear. Or the kid's going to make the choice to, I love my dad, even though he's a horrible piece of shit. I'm going to go along with this because this is the only thing I know.
Or kill the girl himself.
Right. But no, they somehow disarm Dylan McDermott, and then they beat the shit out of him with a lamp. And then all the while, the woman who's being strangled is on the ground with a bag over her head. They don't do anything to help her.
Oh, that's right.
They just let her down there. And
she died? Did we figure that out?
No, she lives.
Okay.
With exploratory dialogue. They don't show her living, which is bullshit.
Right.
Anyway, so the movie ends with they frame the dad. They drag him out to the middle of nowhere. A full-grown man and two high school students drag him into the middle of nowhere, set up a faux camp that he was camping this weekend. Mm-hmm. They set up all the gun cleaning equipment and frame it like he was cleaning his gun, and the gun went off and killed himself. Even though he still has bruises all over his head.
And I've watched way too much true crime shit now. They would catch
them.
Everything about that is wrong. Like all
somebody
the
who's
cuts
trained in
and
firearm
and
training kills himself by accident by cleaning his gun makes no sense.
No.
But anyway, so the whole idea they're going for is like after they frame it that he killed himself. The woman didn't see them because she was being strangled, so she won't talk. The kids now have to live with the fact that nobody knows that he was the Clovehitch killer except them. And then now,
but that he ran. Yeah, that he. So did they? Yeah, that's right. They fight. They pretend like it was some sort of accident so that they could save face.
Right,
like, and that's the only reason. And instead, they give no resolution to any of the victims of the Clovehitch killer.
Right, and then then it shows like. him giving a eulogy at the Boy Scouts meeting, and then his mother is working a job now. They don't have money. They're in a crappy apartment. He has a shitty life. Okay, I understand what you're going for, but the real way to end this movie, if you want him to die, is to give consolation to the victims that he was the Clovehitch killer, and now you have to live with this, and your family is still in a shitty life, and you have to deal with all of this, your world being broken, or you could deal with it like that the father doesn't die, he goes to prison, and he still swears. He still swears that he's not the Clovehitch killer, and all the religious people, they still believe him. Yet,
I'd like that.
Just there's so many ways they could do the ending that they wanted to do, but instead they chose the most basic, stupid way to do it.
It was the same thing as the Super Dark Times, even choosing a choice that was very generic and Hollywood-esque and making no sense.
And
and you would think that the girl would want resolution for the other victims as well.
Right, my mother died by the Clovehitch, so I need to tell people.
I know what this feels like.
But no, she got
resolution.
She cares so much for the main character that she doesn't want to do that.
Right. What a selfish prick.
Yeah.
You could at least say that that reveal that your dad's the Clovehitch killer, let him go to jail, and then move somewhere else and start a new life.
Yeah.
Because either way, it's gonna fucking suck.
What they were going for with this loss of innocence, dealing with Christianity and idyllic life versus real life, and this dichotomy of these different issues is so interesting, but then they just fucking shoot themselves in the foot with this fucking stupid ass ending. And I don't know, I think it just makes me even more mad than Super Dark Times, even though maybe the first half of this movie is not nearly as good as Super Dark Times. I just feel like what they were going for, the impact, the themes they were trying to demonstrate are far more interesting, and it's such a what's the word, not disgrace, traitorous to its own themes that they went the opposite direction.
Well, because it just ended up meaning nothing. I mean, all that stuff that you're talking about, which is interesting stuff about the strict religion and even just the rules of being a Cub Scout and all that stuff, and the dad coming off as very strict and almost boring.
Yeah,
he was a very boring character, and he pulls it off very, very well. To being this sick killer that had
basically
sexual...
nothing is holy. Everything is disgusting, and the world is a bitter place.
He's just a big hypocrite, and that was interesting, but then it just didn't mean anything.
Right.
Once you already knew it, it was all about the fight in the room, I guess. I don't know, and then how they took him out in the woods and killed him. It meant nothing to me.
Everything that was being realistic or believable for the world that they were setting up was completely thrown away when they frame it at the end that he killed himself. It's such a disservice to what the characters they had set up. It just doesn't seem like it's the same. It's the same thing with Super Dark Times. It doesn't feel like the same movie. It feels like shit. We kind of wrote ourselves into a corner. We don't know how to end this. We really like these ideas that we're dealing with and these characters that we set up, but what is the most satisfying way we could put this? Well, fuck it. We're just going to end the movie with the most basic way we can do it. And if you watch these movies and can enjoy them for what they are and forgive the endings, that more power to you. And I hope that you can do that, because it makes the overall experience more enjoyable. But the problem is when you watch a lot of movies and you really get into these ideas and see other movies do have satisfying ends for the stories they set up, you can't forgive
consistency.
I know.
That's not.
It's like comparing.
Were very inconsistent at the end.
Right, like comparing Sleep Tight with these other movies is that there's a beginning, middle, and end, and the themes that they're developing with this character make sense.
They knew exactly what they were
consistent,
doing,
right?
The entire time.
Right. They knew where they were going to end with, and then these other movies they didn't. So, I mean, we have spoiled them for you, but they are worth the watch.
Yeah.
I think Clovehitch is better, but that's me.
Sure. But let's move on to our last movie.
Oh, we got time left? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we got 5 movies. Which
completely shift gears, because I think this is the most horror movie out of all of
it.
These
It actually is the
The other movies were kind of just thrillers. Carrie, you could argue, is a horror movie. I get, yeah.
Carrie's more of a horror than the other three.
But this is the most horrific because you got to bring in those Satanists, man. You got to bring the devil, man.
So this is 2020, right?
Yeah.
This came out last year. We do try to watch and cover Shudder films. Was it Shudder, right?
This is Shudder.
Is Shudder original?
No.
That's a shame. I was going to say that was by far the best Shudder original.
Well, that's the reason why it's not an original.
Damn it.
I know.
But this movie is fucking good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is good.
Really satisfying.
And I just remember watching it just because it popped up on Shudder and being like, that title's kind of stupid, but...
The most generic title.
All right. And, I think at the time it had like a low 6 or something like that. It was a pretty low score.
It's gone up a little bit.
It's probably a lot lower than it deserves.
Yeah, the 6.5, I think it deserves a 7, probably.
I think it's better than that.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I don't have a lot of complaints about it. So when I rate stuff, it's usually because what I'm doing is I'm saying, what flaws can I find, right? So I start at 10 and I say, what am I taking stars away from? Whether it's like an actual scene or whether it's bad special effects or something like that. And so if I say, is there problems with anything for Jackson? Yes. I mean, it's not perfect. Mm-hmm. And there's very few films that I would rate a 10. I would say the only horror film that I have rated a 10 that we have watched together, I think, was Goodnight Mommy.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed it so goddamn much and I didn't find any flaws in it.
Yeah. I think it's, for me, because it's the subject matter, it's like it's half Evil Dead, half Shelley / Rosemary's Baby. So it's like it's in that middle ground where I'm like, I don't know what to rate it because it's in both of these fields and genres. So
right, it's not as good as Rosemary's Baby. It's not.
Yeah, and it's not as funny and tongue in cheek
but it's also
as
different.
Evil Dead, but it's its own thing. So
it is, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the premise. I love the idea of this old couple. Mm-hmm. Spoilers alert! This is big spoilers alert.
I mean, this movie there really isn't any twist for you, so. But please go watch
not
it.
Really.
No, it's very basic.
Not really, but it doesn't need it.
Antichrist, Satanist couple.
Let's talk about that opening scene, man.
Fucking awesome, dude.
So good.
So good. Long shot.
Do that more often, please.
Show, don't tell.
Oh my God! Just it's coming too.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly what's coming.
Yeah.
But something's coming. Mm-hmm. Because you're showing this split room of a dining room and a kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. And the wife's in there, and they're just and by the way, the dialogue in this movie is very good.
Yes,
it's very natural sounding, and the actors are really good. And I don't really recognize any of them.
The only one is Julian Richings. What? How is it?
The
Julian
older
Richings
woman or
is the older man. Oh. He's in The Witch.
I kind of recognize him. And I looked at him, and he's in so many small parts, it didn't matter. And it's a shame because he's really good.
He's very good, yes.
I think it's because of the way he looks, but
yes,
because he's very mortician looking.
Very bony.
It doesn't come off like a OBGYN, or was it gynecologist? No, he's an OBGYN, right?
I don't...
pregnant women. He works on...
Yes, no, you're right.
So they start off with this long shot, and they're way back, and you can see the entirety of the kitchen and the dining room and the front door, right? Mm-hmm. And they're just sitting there, very casual, and it's like old people talk, old married couple talk. Mm-hmm. But it's a horror movie as the audience, and they know it's a horror movie. Mm-hmm. That's what's great about it. They're not expecting people to just randomly watch this thing not knowing what the genre is. So they know. Mm-hmm. And they're playing with you. They're telling you, something's going to happen here. Even though the conversation does not indicate that whatsoever. Nothing about the conversation.
No, but the way the camera moves, the audio, the soundtrack, there is something ominous. Okay, what is happening? Why does this feel normal but off? And then as soon as the door opens, then you know exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, she's early.
Yeah.
She's early. Oh, shit. So they run out, and then all of a sudden they're dragging a pregnant woman into their house.
Yeah.
Right? It's so good. So good. So basically they've kidnapped this woman to... and she's been his patient. They knew that she takes walks by their house every morning.
It's all established in flashbacks after this,
which is great because you don't have to go any further than that. Like, it's not like, oh, how would they get away with taking a woman off of the street? This doesn't make any sense. How'd they get her in there? No, she's she trusts him. They built the trust. They knew exactly what they were doing.
She doesn't want to have the kid. She had the kid accidentally, or she's having the kid accidentally.
And the guy's not a thing.
Right, the guy's completely gone. But yeah, no, it's just basically the couple, they lost their daughter and their grandson, and they figured out the only way to bring back their grandson is through a demonic possession of the unborn child. And
this is fucked up. Yeah. So their daughter got into a car accident with the kid in the car, with their grandson in the car, and the grandchild dies while the mom lives.
Yeah, becomes a paraplegic.
Paraplegic, I would say. I don't think she was an electric chair. But they built an elevator in the house for her and everything like that, but she didn't want to talk. She didn't want to do anything. She's so depressed because her kid's dead. And then eventually she just wheelchairs herself into the elevator shaft and dies. And it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark stuff. But there's also comedy.
But there is comedy. So that's what I'm saying is that it is really good because they do balance that very well. Some of these characters are very caricature, like the quote unquote super Satanist guy, because they belong to a satanic cult because they wanted to get more information of how to bring back a person or a spirit, and so they join the local Satanist chapter. And there's one person in that group who is like
an actual Satanist.
The rest of them are just like they want to dress up.
It's cool to be a Satanist.
This guy, no, he like listens to black metal in his mom's basement and like kills animals and stuff. But yeah, it's odd.
It's a lot of weird things that all come together
that almost
very well.
Shouldn't work, but they do.
I think it's because they knew what they had. I think it's because they didn't take it too seriously in any category. Like, they didn't go over the top in any of the categories. And, like we talked about the little things. Like don't stop doing cliche shit. We watch so many movies that have cliche stuff. And you've talked about how much you're bothered by certain things like, why is the house haunted? Is the house trying to make people kill themselves, or is the house, is it other people? Whatever. Is it ghosts? Whatever. And so when the cop shoots herself because she was, forced to, right?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Background. Once they do the first, because there's a series of rituals they have to do. They do the first ritual. They open up the portal, but they don't realize that the portal's open. So any dead person who's in purgatory, any spirit can come back and inhabit the unborn child. So things start happening at the house. Like a bunch of crows start showing up. People start killing themselves for no reason around the house. So what were you going for? It's like they were showing that, like, okay, human beings, for some reason, if they're there long enough, they'll either kill themselves or they won't.
I didn't get that impression. I got the impression that they were being possessed to kill themselves. Like, I don't think they were choosing to do it. I think that they were like being like, it wasn't her choice. She was forced to do it.
Right. So or anything that's gonna counteract the ritual, anything that's going to get in the way.
Yes. So she shows up.
She's the authorities. Then she's going to take the pregnant mom away, and so the demons stop her.
Right.
So, and then,
which I would feel like that was one of the sloppy parts of the movie. Was all of a sudden she was like coming up to the door, and then like they cut to the next scene, and she's like, the dad has come home because the wife called him and told him that there was a cop there or something like that, and he comes upstairs and this is just the next scene. He's like rushing upstairs, and she's like in the upstairs already, found the woman on the bed, and they didn't show any of this, and all of a sudden she's like, get on the ground, everybody get on the ground.
But they take a really serious and fucked up scene like her killing herself, and then they immediately counteract it later on because if you've killed yourself in the house, your spirit is still there, so she keeps coming around the house and she just keeps killing herself
everywhere. It's the same way, but it's beautiful because it's beautiful. It's she's killing herself, but like in the way that like what I expected, because we watch a lot of horror movies, is I expected her to just be wandering around the house as an unsettled spirit, like because she died in the house, she's just going around as a ghost. No, no, no. She's just somebody she's a ghost that's stuck.
Yeah, she's
in
like stuck in a
shooting
loop,
herself.
right? And even when she wants to help the protagonist, the pregnant woman, get out of the house, she can't. She just kills
shoots
herself
in
again.
the head again, and it's like it's funny but dark, and like I mean, it's fun. That's one thing I would describe it as. It's fun.
Not only does it not take itself too seriously, it also does take itself seriously.
There's
very
definitely
odd.
parts that have some serious elements to it.
And we complained before about movies that try to balance two different genres at the same time, and they fail, and they should just pick one. But it feels like, I don't know, it's something about it works.
Well, it depends. I mean, it definitely can be done. I mean, we've watched plenty of movies like, one of the like dramedies, drama comedies that two things that you would think don't go together. It's like either you're doing a drama or you're doing a comedy. One of my favorite movies that's a drama and a comedy and is so goddamn good is 3 Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri. It's fucking brilliant, and they balance the comedy so well with those dark.
It's like
dark moments.
The comedy doesn't detract from the seriousness of the character's actions. It's only used
because they don't do too much,
right? And it's used as a form of levity or as a way to transition scenes. So
and it doesn't feel out of character or out of place,
right? And then it does this thing where it allows the audience to breathe so that the next horrific moment can still have impact.
Because it's all about peaks, peaks and valleys, right? You don't want a plateau; you want peak and valley, or a build up and then a drop. But I think that so we already talked about, like, comedy is very difficult to do, right? So comedy is very difficult to do. Imagine trying to pull off comedy in a more serious movie and still make it feel authentic without feeling like you're forcing something.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love being surprised. I love it when something comes out of nowhere that I'm not expecting. And I mean, listen, I'm sure that the budget for this thing wasn't much. There are scenes that I think are not the greatest when it comes to special effects. The snowblower, not that great. It doesn't look very good.
That actor, though, I loved him.
He's great. Really great. He's great. And you're just like, fuck off, dude. Like, that's what's so weird, right? Yeah. So as the audience member,
you're rooting for
the old couple in some way. I don't know if you're rooting for the old couple to kill this woman and get her baby.
It's funny because almost the woman with the baby is like the most uninteresting character, and you don't want her to get out.
There's nothing about her. Yeah, you're just like, oh, I kind of want them to have their grandbaby back, but we all know this isn't gonna work, right? Like, we all know that.
You
right?
fuck with the Necronomicon, you don't get a good thing.
No.
Okay, talk about cool effects. The book and the actual like demon guys when they were in costume. Yeah, they didn't do a lot of CGI with them.
So was the one, and I love it because it's the classic. Like we watched it in the Terror in when we watched the Terror the show, and how the one Irish guy.
The inexperienced person fucks with the supernatural, thinking they know what to do,
and it just immediately backfires.
Yeah,
and so of course that's what happens to the Satanist that calls on him. Is he getting raped
at the end?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think he is
by the ghost.
I think he's being raped in the hallway by the ghost.
I know that one ghost is like jerking off a lot.
I thought somebody was actually like raping him.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's fucked up.
But it's also kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, rape is not funny, but
because
this guy was evil,
and he killed his parents,
and he was gonna fuck over this old couple.
So.
It was like a ghost raping him. So
I don't know if it counts.
It was kind of funny. I mean, it was kind of funny. Because he deserved it.
Is that the platform you're going to run on?
Yeah, I'm going for it. Ghosts raping Satanists that are evil is allowed.
It's okay.
It's allowed. Because it's not real. It didn't actually happen, guys. But I just think it's a classic example of you can do it. Yeah,
you can have a very low budget, simple plot, a a genre / subgenre that has been done before. Rosemary's Baby, Shelley, Evil Dead. You can do these kind of things again, but in a different way, and make them interesting.
And how do you do that? You say, it's an old couple.
Yeah.
It's an old couple. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting because what would they struggle with? Mm-hmm. As an old couple, what would they struggle with when they are trying to do this? Well, they're technologically dumb.
Also, I think the easier route I thought they were going to go with is like this old couple wants immortality rather than bringing back their son or their grandson. I thought they're like, well, they love each other, they want to be together forever kind of deal. Or maybe like Dark Song, like
right,
they want to.
She wanted her daughter back, really.
Yes,
but she was going to settle for because her daughter committed suicide. I don't think it was going to work.
Because I think the logic is that it's only souls that were caught in purgatory, and I think they were going by the logic if she committed suicide, she's in hell. Yeah.
So she was going to settle for the grandchild, and the grandfather didn't. He wanted his grandchild back too, but he was really just doing it for his wife.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, he was doing everything for his wife, which is.
It's a really interesting dynamic.
It's noble in a way, and you do feel for these characters. That's what's so great about it. Yes, they kidnapped a pregnant woman, a helpless pregnant woman in a way, and you feel for these characters. And I have always felt like that meant you did a really good job with your movie.
Yeah,
if you made me feel that way
for characters in a horror movie that. It's so ridiculous.
Are going to try and take this woman's baby and put their their grandson into it, and tie her up in their attic, and they soundproofed the room.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's it's one of those movies where it doesn't really have its own genre, or it doesn't really fit a genre. It has its own genre, and it's surprisingly well done. I really don't have many complaints. I would say the ending for me is a little lackluster. I mean, it's not bad. I don't know what they would have done with it, but
right. I don't know. I can't really come up with a different ending right now, but I was fine with it.
Sure.
But to me, the rest of the film is what.
I mean, overall, it just has everything you need. It has the disturbing elements. It has interesting and possibly relatable characters, interesting motivations. It has good set design, good costumes, not a heavily reliance on CGI. A really decent script, believable lines from these different characters, and it just it elevates it more than just another it's another okay horror movie on Shudder. No, it's good. It's better than.
Don't be turned off by the title.
Yeah, this title's
not great.
Aligns with all the other titles on Shudder that are not even. They don't explain anything.
That's why I'm actually kind of surprised I actually played the damn thing.
Right.
Because I didn't like that title. Was
The
just
Woods.
God damn it.
Nothing but her.
But I guess I don't know
what keeps you alive.
Yeah, but at the same time, when's the last time you saw a title and you're like, "Fuck yeah,
a title?
What a good title." Mostly we just complain about titles, but what's a good title recently? Because
I guess that's an interesting point.
We both love Dogs Don't Wear Pants.
Yeah.
But it's a weird title.
It is a weird title, but I think
it's intriguing. Anything for Jackson feels a little bit different because when you have the name of the...
Yeah, but I feel like Anything for Jackson feels more hokey and goofy than Dogs Don't Wear Pants because... Obviously, without the context of the movie, what the fuck does that title mean? But
true, like Dogtooth, in a way,
right?
Like it's more like why. Mm-hmm. You didn't end up watching that, did you?
Dogtooth? Yeah. I never finished it. I know it's Yorgos Lanthimos, and I know it's good. It's one of those movies I have to be in the mood to watch.
You didn't make it to the scene.
Which scene? There's a lot of weird scenes in that movie.
She pulls her tooth out.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm sure it's disgusting. I mean, I was having a hard time watching.
They're not supposed to leave the house until their dog tooth falls out.
Right. I was having a hard time watching when the son was having sex with that prostitute. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh, did you make it far enough to where he starts having sex with the sister?
No.
Oh, yeah, because the prostitute, isn't there anymore. So instead, they have to have him start.
It's a good thing he moved on to The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer. Those movies are not nearly. Well, Killing of a Sacred Deer is pretty fucked up.
And The Favorite? Is that so good?
And The Favorite. Favorite's the most accessible, but it's still fucked up.
Still love them all. They're all real good. All right.
Fuck, man.
That was good.
The longest one.
Oh, Jesus. Good luck, guys.
Yeah. No, thanks for listening. You're not listening. It's fine. This is just for us.
We had like 10. Did you look?
Did we?
I don't know.
I think we had like 10 subscribers, but not...
Hey, guys. Make sure you smash that like.
Oh, my God.
Damn it, I can't do it.
Shut the hell up.
Shut
the fuck up.
I can't do it.
No, we will never be those people.
I wanted
Cut
to
to
say
5 years later
I
where
wanted
we
to
have...
say it. Make sure you smash that
fucking like button.
And actually, but in all seriousness, what I would like is suggestions.
Yeah,
I do like suggestions.
If you happen to find this podcast and listen to us and being
whether
so gracious,
it's film that you want us to cover that we haven't, or ideas for how we do this.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be horror movies either.
We
can talk about other movies as well,
or
series.
Prefer this being cut up into film by film? We do this in a way that we feel like it kind of runs together fairly well. Like we're picking movies that we feel kind of correspond with each other.
There is some sort of theme or connective tissue to the actual episode, whether it's
because we've watched a lot more movies than these.
Yeah, but I feel like all these movies, they're good enough for you to actually go watch them rather than just us tear them apart.
Right. So leave comments, smash that like. God damn it, I can't even finish the sentence.
Don't do it, man.
But yeah, if you guys like it, awesome. But we do want to make it better as well, because we know it's probably still pretty rough.
Yeah.
But we got shit to say. Sometimes I just got stuff to say. And other people have to listen.
Nah, man. I just I'm talking to myself because I got things to say.
I just got things to say. I don't know. All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.